Hello, hello, hello. This is 3D or 2D.com's The 3D Show.
It came from the third dimension.
As always, I'm your host, Adolf Vega, and with me is...
James Tate.
Put on your 3D glasses now. 3D glasses not included.
And if you're wondering what the 3Ds are in The 3D Show, well, they stand for discussion, debate, and the news. I will not be talking about
Disney ruined Star Wars.
And or
The Bears.
Or De
Beers.
But we will probably talk about
Avengers
and
Mario.
I do hope you enjoyed the show. The show, get it?
Welcome to episode 44. We have Miss Christin Richard here.
Hello, everyone.
And we got James here, too. We got a...
Yeah. Everyone's here.
All right. So we got lots of topics here today. Or not too many.
Not too many. That was a complete lie. Actually, it's just cool that we're all here.
Yeah. So, episode 44, let's start things off with Star Trek, with a gay character announcement of Sulu being gay in this universe. And being controversial because a lot of people don't like that he's gay. Including George Takei, the original person that was Sulu, but Quinto, which is now Spock, does like it because he is gay. He was actually afraid of outing himself because he thought he would lose the job of Spock. So, I don't really care. It's a different universe, and it doesn't really... I don't think that's going to be that much of a story issue. It's just something thrown out there.
Yeah, but if there isn't much of a point to it, why do it? It's just for publicity, I guess.
That's exactly what I thought too, and I think it was supposed to be a sort of a tribute to George Takei that didn't blow over as well as they hoped it would.
Yeah, and they were saying that George Takei was like, well, this isn't the vision that Gene Roddenberry originally had. And the thing is, Gene Roddenberry, he had the first interracial kiss between Uhura and Kirk. And that was a big deal. And a lot of times they covered big issues in Star Trek. So I don't think being gay would have been an issue for Star Trek to cover before now, And they've had other genders, other stuff happen before. A lot of characters have weird issues in Star Trek, so I wouldn't imagine this being outside the norm possibility, No,
it absolutely isn't. The fact that the first movie didn't have it in it is demonstrative probably of its need to arise. I mean, it's supposed to be in the future. Surely we could have worked through some of those issues by now or by then.
Yeah, I guess that is a good point.
Kirk has sex with multiple alien species. No problem with that. And people are saying, oh, it's changing character. Why do they got to change the characters? Yeah, because Spock did not have his planet blow up in the previous movies or TV show. That's a massive change to Spock. And I don't remember, Christian, you could probably back me up. I don't remember Kirk in the TV show whining about his father all the way through all the different movies.
That's absolutely right.
And
brought him up twice, maybe. That's the entire franchise.
So, and of course, Admiral, what's the Admiral that's in the movies? He couldn't walk or talk in the Star Trek TV show, but now he's a regular character. Talking about the Admiral?
I'm not sure I remember him.
Anyway, so that's not the only Star Trek controversy. We got another Star Trek controversy with Chris Pine. Now, this controversy really flew under the radar, enough that it happened a month ago, and I didn't hear about it until now, and I'm more upset about this than the gay character. Apparently, Chris Pine, the new Kirk, said in an interview that they can't have a smart Star Trek because it just won't be popular anymore. They just can't do that kind of movie anymore. It just won't resonate with people nowadays. And I take great offense to that. I think they could. They just don't want to make smart Star Trek anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have to say that based upon the first film, that he may be right. That, if the audiences if they're going to fill up the box office seats and everything, there aren't a bunch of baby boomer Trekkies out there like there were in the 80s and 90s that are going to these films. And as offensive as it is, he may be right. That the producers may not have liked his comments, and that may be why it's been buried under the radar like it has.
Well, but Star Trek, if you ask me, hasn't really been smart, really smart, until I know people hated this, but Enterprise. I thought Enterprise was pretty smart.
Yeah, when you look back at the Next Generation, it wasn't as cerebral as the first films were.
Yeah. Okay, look, I think that that's two major sci-fi movies have been very smart, The Martian and Interstellar. Both of those are really out there ideas, and I think they're really smart and well executed, and they're popular. They make a ton of money.
But it's a different genre though, and I'm wondering if Doctor Who has been kind of watered down a lot for the new generation, and it's the plots are convoluted, but they're not super, they're not just super, I want to use the word complex. They're not just mind-shocking.
Yeah. Okay. James, what were you going to say before?
What I was going to say is that I believe that Star Trek, the entire franchise, is not just it's not really sci-fi as a whole, but sci-fi movies. For the most part, when you have big franchises like Star Trek or Star Wars, they are becoming more stupid. And this is to pull in a casual audience.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that TV shows can be cerebral, but maybe not movies in this day and age.
I still think that they could. They could try something in there and still have ideas. They even tried this in Into Darkness. Like the first half of Into Darkness was the last movie before this one about Captain Kirk being fired by Captain Pike or Admiral Pike because he interfered with the planet and saved them from the volcano or whatever. And that was against the Prime Directive. And he was fired. And then they dropped it after that because Khan came in. And, but, it did have that nugget of that. And I do appreciate that nugget of it. It just...
Almost every Star Trek film has to have Kirk almost getting fired and then not.
That's true. That's true.
He's the sci-fi version of the cop that's always on the edge or whatever. You're a loose cannon.
We all know Picard's better, so whatever.
There was a funny joke. It's just like, you'll always be one of the best Star Trek captains, and he's like, one of.
I will always say Picard's better. James, you got my back on this one or no?
Yeah, I like Picard more.
Kristen?
I don't know. I kind of like Shatner's loose cannonness.
Well,
is overacting.
No. Picard can overact if he wants to. I mean, just look at when you're like, no! And you're like,
This is not about revenge.
Liar!
This is about saving the future of humanity!
Jean-Luc, blow up the damn ship!
No! No!
Right. I'm on Picard too, and if I had a choice to be on either one of the ships, I'd probably want to be on his ship.
That was funny. He was like, no! And he smashed the thing.
That was from First Contact whenever he was talking about the Borg.
Yeah. Which I could get into a entire tangent about how...
I think the difference between William Shatner and God, his name just escaped me.
Chris Pine?
No, Picard. Who played his character? God, I can't believe I can't remember it.
I know the actor, the bald guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe I can't. But anyway, what I was going to say is that Picard has to think about overacting, whereas Kirk, he's really trying to act, but that's just the way he acts.
It was Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart,
yeah.
Yeah, he has to think about overacting, whereas William Shatner does not have to think about it. It's just a part of him.
Yeah, I mean, you have some of those lines.
Yeah. Okay.
One of the first stories I heard a story once about William Shatner, and they said that he ended up becoming like an understudy in like a Hamlet play in college, and that the original actor didn't get to finish the role, so they put him in to the leading role. And they said that the audiences just absolutely loved his portrayal because he was kind of like he always is, just so melodramatic, and that's where his style was solidified.
That's funny.
All right, so let's move on. We just finished talking about Ghostbusters. We reviewed it. This story just popped up within a couple hours ago. I just saw it right now. Apparently. So Ghostbusters, so far this opening weekend, made about $46 million. It cost about $144 to make, and budget, and then the advertising another $100. So they would need to make at least $300 worldwide before they can break even and really justify a sequel. So it may not get there. I don't know how it's doing the rest of the world.
Why'd they spend so much money on that film? My God.
The Ghost.
Yeah, I know.
They almost spent as much on advertisement as they did on the film itself.
And the advertisement is pretty bad, so I don't know why.
It is. I didn't want to see the movie because of those previews.
I mean, think of it. Did you guys notice all the just a really side cameo art? Did you guys notice all the product placement in the movie?
No,
I didn't.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Bill Murray.
Give some examples.
Like Papa John's.
Nah, I didn't.
Yeah, just completely. That's right. I do remember those.
Yeah.
It just kind of flew right past me. But yeah, I do remember those. It almost reminded me of Blade Runner with the product placement.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, I was mentioning that.
Maybe the cameos from the old movies cost them $100 million.
Yeah, they probably spent that much on Bill Murray to play his little insignificant part.
They paid him to show up and die.
Okay. Let's move on here. All right. So Pokemon Go is like apparently one of the biggest things ever. That it was not out. We didn't know when it was going to come out. It just kind of came out of the blue, and now it's out a lot of different places. It's an augmented reality phone application game where Pokemon will be visible in front of you if you catch them. Have you guys played this?
No.
Of course not. I have a BlackBerry.
Okay, I have iPhone 6s Plus, and it's okay. I'm not really willing to walk out of my way to, catch Pokemon in the park or something. I'm not willing to do that. If I'm at a location, sure, I'll pop it out, see what's there, but I'm not going to, walk 5 miles.
I really enjoyed seeing people's reaction to it more than playing the game itself.
You mean like seeing people react to playing it?
Just people that I know that are playing the game that are just obsessed with it. It almost reminds me of that game in Star Trek, Next Generation.
So it's made huge money, and it's a big hit. Now, Nintendo is it's kind of a weird thing because Google owns a company that made it, and it's using Google Maps, and they're using, so Google gets a third of it, Apple gets a third of it, and the Pokemon company gets some of it, and Nintendo got some of it, but they get like 15%, and everything else goes everywhere else. So, but it's associated with Nintendo, and it's their first seriously big game. I mean, Miitomo was a big game, but I don't think anyone cares about that anymore.
Yeah.
And this is a pretty big game, and, maybe they could be smart and connect it to Sun and Moon, since that's still being made right now and coming out in the fall. That would be a better way to connect the dots somehow between a real game and this game. It's not really good about instructions, so I don't really, they don't tell you that much, but it's kind of interesting to see Nintendo actually, do some of this stuff outside of their own consoles and stuff. So.
Yeah, I kind of want to see what they do with because how they only have Generation 1 now. I wonder when they're going to update the amount of Pokemon on it.
And how much data collection that Google's going to get out of this on top of their third of the pot.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kristen, because that was an early controversy that Google, when you got it on the iPhone, you have to sign in. You don't have to, but there's two options to sign in. One through your Google account and one through your Pokemon account. And most people did it through the Google account. And apparently in the iOS version, the Apple iPhone version, when you sign up, you have to give Google full account access whenever you got the game. So they could edit your contacts and delete things and do everything. And then it became
that people accept this.
Well, after that was realized, people started reporting it, and then the company said, oh, wait, that was a mistake, and they patched it. So the current version right now doesn't do that. It just does very basic.
Does it more discreetly.
It just does your name and your age or whatever. It doesn't care about anything else. So they patched it, So Google does the bug. Google has a lot of our information, so one way or another, Google owns us all.
Yep.
So let's keep on talking about Nintendo. They're going to have a theme park, like a Universal Studios, before the 2020 Olympics. So that's within 4 years, and they're going to spend about $500 million to make this theme park, which is bigger than the Harry Potter section of Universal Studios. So $500 million to make this theme park for Nintendo.
Seems like a lot of money. I hope it works out for them.
Yeah, it's like if they spent all that and then it just sucked.
Yeah, didn't Nickelodeon kind of fold from their theme park too?
Yeah, I don't think they're doing that as much as they used to.
Wait, what happens? Was there a theme park?
Yeah, Nickelodeon had you could climb your friends there, and they had different studios there for cartoons. But that didn't last very long because Nickelodeon.
How long did it last?
It better last a long time for $500 million.
Yeah. It wasn't a few years from Nickelodeon, so Nintendo having Mario and all these characters, I think they may be able to make money back from this, but it's a long-term thing,
Yeah. It's true.
Okay. So I read this interesting story. Did you guys see a trailer for Kubo and the Two Strings before Ghostbusters, or no?
No.
I didn't either. Go ahead. Fill us in, Mr. Adolf.
Okay, so Kubo and the Two Strings is a stop-motion animated movie coming out in August, and it's based on Kubo, and she is a super-powered woman or girl, and anyway, it's a 3D movie, but it's actually using 3D printing to make the characters for stop motion. So it's combining 3D printing and 3D movie making all in one.
Wow.
Interesting.
Now the thing is, I saw this trailer for, in front of The Life of Pets, The Secret Life of Pets, and the 3D was not at all impressive for that movie, so it's kind of disappointing, you know. But yeah, just interesting that 3D printing is going to really be a big, you know, deal with stop motion animation, you know, to help make all those little parts, because stop motion is, you know, you have to have the little actual figures there and animate them, and, you know, being able to 3D print that make things a lot cheaper and faster to make. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds interesting.
What's your favorite stop motion movie?
For me, go ahead, Jim.
What's stop motion animation movie that I like? Well, Chicken Run's good. What's another one I liked?
I enjoy Chicken.
Yes, I enjoy Chicken Run.
I was going to go a little bit further back and actually pull up Davy and Goliath from the old TV show.
Davy and Goliath.
And I'll go with the standard movie that everyone knows and likes, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Classic.
It's true.
That was so well done that it's almost difficult to believe that it was stop motion.
Yeah.
When I watched the animation the first time, I thought it was just made to look like stop animation.
Yeah.
And it's both a Christmas and a Halloween movie at the same time. You can watch it on Halloween and get enjoyment, and Christmas and get enjoyment.
Well, it's probably Tim Burton probably had a sinister message between all that, since retailers seem to merge Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas all into one.
Yeah. And another one I'll mention is the Fantastic Mr. Fox. That was really well done a few years ago. I don't know if anyone's seen that one.
I did not see that.
I remember that, I think.
So let's move on here. We got Nintendo is going to release a new Nintendo Entertainment System this November, and it's as big as your hand. It plugs in the TV via HDMI, comes with 30 games installed for $60.
I'm ecstatic and excited about this. When I saw that, I was like, oh my God, there's something I'm actually going to buy.
Well, what is it again?
Okay, so basically, Nintendo is going to make their own plug-in-and-play system. And
oh my gosh, really?
And it's going to be NES games, 30 of them. It's pre-installed. You don't need internet. You just plug it in, and it uses HDMI, so it's the most high-def video output you can do right now. So it comes with the NES controller. You can buy another controller for $10, or use a Wii remote or a Wii gamepad, Wii, Classic Controller Pro, and $60 you get 30 games, and they're ready to go. They're ready to play, and it comes out this fall. It came out of the blue, and these are some of the best games of that era.
Yeah.
The only thing I was hoping that it would have, and I don't think it's going to, is I was hoping it would have the gun.
Well, okay. The gun, the Zapper is what you're mentioning, right?
Right.
The Zapper, unfortunately, the HDMI technology is very different. So HD TVs, you would need the sensor bar that's on the Wii to use the gun, and they don't include that. So it would be, you can't really do it without a sensor bar and a Wii remote. Yeah.
When I was a kid, I thought that the Zapper was like almost sorcery of technology. The way that you could shoot your TV screen and that it would give feedback to the system. I spent many hours trying to figure out how that thing worked.
Lasers. All right,
Yeah.
let me give you a quick rundown. Let me give you a quick rundown of all the games that came out, or the 30 games on this package.
Good. You have.
All right. You guys can quickly say yes or nay if you like them or remember them. Balloon Fight.
Yay.
Okay. James, you heard of Balloon Fight?
Yes, they retconned the guy from Animal Crossing into it.
Yeah, and Iwata, which is the former president of Nintendo, helped make that game. So that's an important game, but the game itself is meh. It's not that good. So it's important to Nintendo. But
That must have been why it never ended up in my collection.
okay. Bubble Bobble.
Bubble Bobble.
I do remember that game.
That's a great game. Castlevania.
And
Remember Castlevania, Kristen?
I remember Castlevania.
I'm trying to remember, when did that come out?
I don't know, 88 maybe?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I had that one or not.
James, you're going to know this one. Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest.
Oh, no.
So one of the more infamous games on the list because it's really
It's a terrible night for a game.
it's a really, really hard game because it don't tell you anything. All right, Kristen, you'll know this game. Donkey Kong.
Yeah, I was real happy to see that one on the list.
Donkey Kong Jr.
Yes, indeed.
Double Dragon 2, The Revenge.
Really?
Right.
Oh.
Dr. Mario. Excite Bike.
I'm trying to remember, how did that game go? I'm trying to remember if I remember that one.
You have a little biker, and then you go on the track from left to right, and you can trip up other bikes.
Yes,
And
of course. Okay.
you can make your own levels.
Yeah, that's what we used to do more than anything.
Final Fantasy, which is awesome. You know, that game part doesn't hold up as well as the other ones, but it's still a great thing to have on here.
Yeah, it's still a good game.
This is going to be one of your favorites, Kristen. Galaga.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't think I even had that on my NES. I had that on my Atari 400, 800, but I didn't have it on my NES. But yeah, that's a good one.
Ghosts and Goblins.
Yep, I remember that one. I used to play that quite a bit.
Man, Ghosts and Goblins made me so mad because I played that the second one, the Super Ghosts and Goblins, on my Game Boy Advance, and I got to the very end. It took me, like 100 hours. It's so hard. And it says, you forgot the key. I said, what key? I don't know the key talking about. And you have to go all the way from the beginning, play the entire game over, and then they'll give you the key. And it's just like, I was so mad. I didn't know that, and I was just like, this is ridiculous. I sold the game. I was like, I'm not playing this anymore. No, it's ridiculous.
You were like
Whoa.
The angry video game nerd, guy.
I did it! I beat 2 Satans in my underwear. Final boss, the devil. Notice how I'm walking backwards, so it's now in one-on-one fighting mode. Kind of like a certain other Capcom game. Ah! Come on! My mother throws bigger fireballs than that. You know what? I don't try to be cocky or anything, but who's the man? I just beat one of the hardest games of all time. I bet you didn't think I could really do it, but I got this, man. This room is an illusion and is a trap devised by Satan. Go ahead dauntlessly. Make rapid progress. You have to beat the game twice? You have to beat the game twice in a row. That's just great.
Oh, yeah. he's made a video on Ghosts and Goblins specifically mentioning that point, and then at the ending they misspell congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulation?
So whatever. But yeah, I remember that, and it made me so mad because it's a hard game. So it's a good game, but it is hard. All right, Gradius.
Don't think I remember that one.
Ice Climber.
Don't think I had that one either.
Now, I always liked Ice Climber. I recognize that it's really kind of awkward because it's so slippery. Obviously, you're on ice the whole game, but it's just kind of annoying. But I like it for what it is. You know, at the very top is a pterodactyl that you jump onto, and then there's vegetables you collect, and it's a strange little game. I like it. Kid Icarus.
Definitely don't read that one.
Kirby's Adventure. That's fantastic. The original Mario Brothers.
Yay!
The one where you're in the pipes and you're trying to defeat the turtles that come down. You have to hit them from the bottom and then kick them while they're down, and then it just repeats an endless cycle. You know that one, James, or no?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
A little game called Mega Man 2.
Whoa.
That's one of the best.
I love that. I love that game.
A little game called Metroid.
Wow, Metroid.
I think you play as a girl in that.
You might.
Something to do with Space Marines or something. Ninja Gaiden. Kristen, you like this one. Pac-Man.
Yep, I saw that one on the list. It looked like a good version of it, too.
Yeah, it's a good version of it. It's not the best version of it. Mrs. Pac-Man is the superior game, faster, and has more stuff. But it's still good. Punch-Out featuring Mr. Dream.
Mr. Dream, okay. I was hoping it would have Mike Tyson in it.
Well, Mike Tyson would definitely want some of that royalty money if they do it. So I think after the whole rape controversy of Mike Tyson in '86, that's when they reintroduced the game with Mr. Dream, so that way they don't have to pay him anymore.
I always wondered why he wasn't on that game anymore when you went to the arcade.
Yeah, that was pretty, if you kind of look back, that might be political correctness, but, he was a convicted rapist, so I think it's okay. It's okay to take him off the game, and he's
a whole new time. Gives new meaning to Punch-Out.
Didn't he come back in the Wii version?
No, he didn't.
Oh, so he's only in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out?
Yeah, the original version of that game, and like a year later, they re-released it and just took him out, and then that was it. So,
he's like impossible.
Yeah, he's really hard. I've hacked it, got the code, and you have to be absolutely perfect because one hit will kill you.
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
All right, Star Tropics. Star Tropics. It's like a really weird game. It's like a Pacific Islander Legend of Zelda. So
I would totally enjoy it.
It's pretty good. It's a little bit, the controls are a little bit slippery, but it's a pretty good game. Another one called Super C. You remember that one? It is the sequel to Contra. Why the original Contra is not on here, I don't know. But the sequel, Super C, is on here. That's weird.
Probably licensing.
Well, that's the thing. These games are licensed. So Super C is from Capcom, and they had to agree to it. So I don't know why they didn't do that one. I remember hearing that Contra was renamed Super C because they didn't want to be associated with the Iran-Contra deal of the 1980s.
Oh, okay.
But then after that, they don't give up on it. So whatever, we're back to Contra. Now, a little game. You may have heard of it. It's about a plumber and wears red overalls. Do you know what game I'm talking about? No? A plumber, he eats mushrooms.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. You're talking about Mario.
Super Mario Brothers 1, Super Mario Brothers 2, and Super Mario Brothers 3 are on this collection.
Wow, that's a nice little package.
So that's awesome.
But I guess if you have another controller, they can play Luigi?
Yes, you can. And the other controller is sold separately for $10. And I think you could use old NES controllers. So if you found one somewhere laying around, you could still plug it in.
That's the way the Ataris were, the little Atari flashbacks. They used the exact same joysticks. In fact, you could even use aftermarket joysticks that weren't really Atari, and they would work on that machine.
And like I said before, you could use the Wii Remote or the Wii Classic Controller Pro if you have those laying around. You also got Tecmo Bowl, which I think is a fantastic game. I don't know if you guys ever played it or know about it. James, have you heard of Tecmo Bowl?
No, I haven't.
Well, so it's a really good arcade football game, American football. And one of the things about it was that if you played as Bo Jackson, you were basically invincible. Because Christin, wasn't Bo Jackson one of the best football players of the 1980s?
Yeah, I was going to say he was pretty popular.
So if you picked the team that he was on, which I believe it was the Raiders back then, you could play as him, and like you could avoid tackles, and you could just run up the field, and it was just incredible whenever you played as him. It was just unfair. And
so
the final,
it's kind of like the Ark of the Covenant. I was going to say it's kind of like the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, it's basically a cheat if you play with Bo Jackson. And then there's two more games. They have to do with a green elf and a Triforce or something or other. Do you know about those games? The Legend of something or other?
No. Go ahead, James.
The Legend of Zelda and The Legend of Zelda 2, Adventure of Link are the last two games on this list. So that's the 30 games you get.
Those are pretty good. Now, you know that next year they're probably going to come out with one that has even more games.
Well, that's an idea. People have said, hey, can you download more games onto this? And Nintendo said no.
Yeah, it's too bad. What would have been really cute is if they had little cartridges that you could have purchased.
Yeah, that would have been cute. It does not open up, so it's just basically an on button, a reset button, and the HDMI cord, and that's it. So, all these old 2D games from the 8-bit era, this is a great game system. Little System's going to come out. It's going to be a huge seller for Christmas.
Yeah,
and,
I was pretty excited.
And HDMI support is very smart. I think all the other ones, like the Sega and Atari, they use the ancient, RCA cables.
Right, and they weren't compatible with mini televisions. In fact, I had to plug mine into an older TV for my flashback to work.
So HDMI is the current standard of HD right now, and it is compatible with 4K TVs, with HD TVs, anything now. And it's going to look good. It's going to play good. And you might be right, Christin. This may be a new one coming out next year, depending on things. The thing is, though, it has so many big games, it would be kind of hard to do a sequel because what's left,
That kind of...
A lot of the games in the NES era have been kind of lost in time because the people that originally owned it are out of business now, and the rights have just evaporated, and no one knows who owns it anymore. And that's where some of it gets complicated, and some of the games might be, harder to emulate than other games. But still, this is fantastic, and this is totally out of the blue. This is a great little thing, some of the best 2D games of the 80s. And, I have most of these games, so by Wii U and 3DS, so I don't really have interest in buying it, because I could already play them. But it's definitely a really cool feature. A really cool
feature. It's a really cool feature. It really is, I'd buy it.
Yeah, I'm actually planning to buy it if I can find one. I wonder if there's going to be a black market started for them during the Christmas holidays.
And that would be the ultimate sadness and irony that, Nintendo 3DS and the Wii U don't have any new big games, but you can buy an old system, And I think maybe having a sequel and having the Super Nintendo or the Nintendo 64 would be awesome, too.
They need to bring back an Atari 800 flashback. That was a good game system. I mean, it was a computer, too, but that was like always my go-to video game system because it had the best games, or the ones that I enjoyed. That and the Commodore 64.
So I think this would probably be the better one of all your systems, all those plug-in-and-play systems that are available now, because this has some great games, and they hold up. Some of those games, those Ataris, I try to go back to them, and I can't get into them. I just can't. It's hard for me to play those games.
Makes you wonder how you ever played them before.
See, I remember growing up with the NES, so I remember playing a little bit of the Atari, but I remember the NES being my thing when I was 5.
Well, the 800 was such a better system than the 2600. Just everybody had the 2600 because it was cheap. You could buy one of those things for $50 at Sears and Roebuck, and the Atari 400, 800, they were like, somewhere between $400 and $800 because they were computers.
Yeah.
You could plug modems into them and everything. So, but the games were they were 16-bit, so they were really, really good.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up this episode with one more story. This one, again, is a top story here. We got a casting news for upcoming Star Wars movie. Alden Ehreneich. Do you know who that person is?
No.
I think it's Ehreneich. I could be.
Yeah.
I could be totally off the pronunciation of that, but I'd never heard of him until the announcement.
Okay, so it's okay. I never heard of him either. He has been in a few movies, nothing too massive. Hail Caesar came out this year. Beautiful Creatures came out 3 years ago. None of these are big hits.
Yeah.
Nothing here that you really recognize, but he's going to be a starring character. He's going to be Han Solo in a Star Wars story.
Huh.
So he's going to play a young Han Solo, and this adventure is going to take place before Episode 4, New Hope, somewhere down that line.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think of this, Kristen?
I'm going to be interested to see it. I don't think he looks that much like Harrison Ford, but I guess with the right outfit, he could pull the part off. He's got the superficial features, the dark hair and eyes, but facial features, he doesn't look anything like Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I don't know. We already mentioned it before on a different show that we're not sure if Rogue One's going to be able to work itself out. And I don't know if doing Han Solo again in a younger way is really going to be good, because it's going to be you have to compare him to Harrison Ford, and
right. And that's what audiences want. They want it. It's not Han Solo, the character. They're wanting Harrison Ford, the actor, in the film.
And that is like, you're going to, I don't know how to put it, you're asking for trouble because you're going to be compared to, a great character and a great actor in that movie. So, man, I wouldn't want to be that. I wouldn't want that.
So far, the fact that I don't know how to pronounce his last name, maybe it will help his career, even if it is bad.
Yeah. I think it's going to be, I think that's part of the reason why they hired him. Apparently he had good chemistry with Chewbacca, which, okay. And maybe he's just a new guy and they don't want to, they could pay him less than another person you may know.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. So you had good chemistry with Chewbacca. What's that about? You mean Peter Mayhew, or are they getting someone else to play him too?
I'm guessing Peter Mayhew, but I mean, he's getting up in age, so I can't imagine him playing that role forever. How old is he? Like in his 70s, right? 80s?
No, he's not in his 80s, but he might be in his late 60s or early 70s.
I remember actually meeting him in Comic-Con a few years ago. He was super awesome, and it was sad because no one was going to him. And it was like, why? You're Chewbacca, man. And just like, yeah, no one recognizes me without the suit, so whatever,
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with local conventions. He lives in Arlington, so he has just really saturated the DFW area with autographs and appearances. So I think that most of his fans are like, well, I've kind of already got your autograph, and I might even have 2 of them.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Because, yeah, it was just kind of sad for me because I never saw him before, and it's just like, hey, I know he's behind the costume the whole time, but whatever.
Well, I guess when he can't do it anymore, Hollywood will resort to what it always does and just CGI him in there.
Yeah. So, we did get interesting X-Men news. It's kind of sad. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Remember how we mentioned that there was going to be another X-Men movie, a solo X-Men movie, and apparently it's going to go against Deadpool 2, which is going to be the Cajun himself. James, do you remember the Cajun X-Men? I forget his name right now.
Yeah. You mean Gambit?
Yeah. So that movie was going to be a fall release, and they officially have delayed it until next year. So that's having a lot of problems.
Because that franchise is probably getting kind of tired.
It is. Yeah.
So, I mean, they come out with these new movies like every year, and, it's got to be fizzling out.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this newest one. I don't remember. Did you see it, James or Kristen?
The newest one, no, I haven't seen it yet.
Apocalypse. Yeah, I gave it a 6. It was okay, but it's just not at all. It's just kind of like you said, they're running out of gas.
It's kind of like Peter Mayhew. It's just the market is just saturated with these X-Men movies. It's almost like the iPhone or something of the cinema.
Yeah, apparently the writer between the 2014 RoboCop is making this, and yeah, that got nowhere fast. So yeah, Channing Tatum is still supposed to be playing Gambit in this, and he's a really likable guy, so we'll see what happens with that. So yeah, that's basically the news. Anything else to mention or no?
Well, I was hoping that maybe some of our listeners could give us the correct pronunciation of the young Han Solo. That's
Yep.
me.
Someone will probably be screaming it out and as you're listening to this now. Well, thanks, Christian, for joining us in this podcast. Go ahead. I believe next week is Comic-Con. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
So we'll see if we have time, because there's so many announcements that come up on Comic-Con San Diego. I don't want to record something that is, obsolete the next day, So we'll see when we record next about Comic-Con. I'm thinking that we may have a trailer or a teaser or something come out of there of some kind. I think DC related, we may get a trailer of Wonder Woman, or may get the costumes of Flash or Cyborg, and maybe even I don't think Marvel is doing much this year in Comic-Con, are they?
I'm sorry, I don't want you. You didn't think of what?
I don't think Marvel is doing much at Comic-Con this year, are they?
I haven't heard many announcements from them.
So this would be the time they could, showcase something from Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but I don't know. We'll see next week, but I'm not guaranteeing that a podcast right now, considering that how much information may fly out within 24 hours. May, try to just wait in the back end to everything released instead of having one right before and then it's all gone, So we'll try to record sometime next week, if not the week after. So that's going to be it for this podcast.
See you guys.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.
Thanks.
All right, so that's going to wrap up this podcast.
Remember to like, comment, favorite, subscribe, love, whatever. Heart it, do something.
3D or 2D.com can be found on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, and SoundCloud. And if you want to send us email, our email address is email3dortwo@gmail.com. And thank you again for listening. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
So we'll start with the big kahuna first. The whole Solo being gay in Star Trek Beyond.
Who's what's his character again?
Did you say Solo or Sulu?
Sulu, yeah.
You want to write Sulu on a chalkboard or dry erase board? Okay.
So Sulu now is gay in Star Trek Beyond. Apparently there's a scene a very tasteful scene where he's with his daughter and his partner, and the actor that is currently playing Solo actually likes him. Actually doesn't mind it. Sulu. I'm thinking Star Wars. Sorry. Star Wars, Star Trek, same thing. Anyway.
SULU. Not to be confused with Solo.
Okay.
Because you should have deleted scenes during the credits.
Maybe. Post-credit scene.
James, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, then. I'm going to get more cheese.